Like most cities in America, Boston struggles with providing its community with accessible housing options, from rentals to purchases. Setting Boston apart, though, is its consistent top 5 ranking for being one of the most expensive cities to both own a home and rent one, for all income brackets, according to data from Zillow. Freshman local policymakers in Boston are looking to attack this affordable housing crisis in a new way in hopes of finally defeating it. For these politicians and nonprofits alike, it takes an equal and equitable city in order to achieve the same for its housing. I spoke to City Councilor Kenzie Bach of District 8 on why she decided to run for office after spending her life in Boston.
I'd grown up in the city and was really noticing a few years back just how many people were finding they couldn't stay in the city anymore because of affordability. And then I went and worked on affordable housing for another couple of years at the Boston Housing Authority. And when the council seat in my district came open, I found myself thinking, I think to really move the needle on affordable housing, we need political leadership that wants to really change the dynamic on that front. And so decided to throw my hat in the ring.
Bach was elected to the Boston City Council in 2019. She let me know as a historian, Bostonian, and politician that our meeting place at the Mission Hill Playground is part of a housing initiative she has been working on. Because for her, you have to consider the whole city and its community in order to make change, which includes playgrounds, churches, and other infrastructure. Bach has held various housing policy and advocacy careers. She worked and still collaborates with the Boston Housing Authority, the city's largest landlord. I spoke to Administrator and CEO of the Boston Housing Authority, Kate Bennett, to get a better understanding of why the affordable housing in Boston is considered a crisis and how Bostonians are being affected.
There's absolutely an affordable housing shortage in this city. We see that at BHA in a number of ways. We used to have much more turnover than we have currently in our properties, and that was because families could make the leap from paying public housing rents to paying a market rent. People cannot earn enough to make up the difference between what they can pay in public housing and what they can pay in the market. And so I think the city has done an amazing job of affordable housing creation and preservation. And that's certainly helping. And there's a lot of strategic effort and a lot of strategic investment that's happening at the city level. But the needs are overwhelming. Our current public housing waiting list is over 50,000 families.
I visited a developing BHA site for affordable housing. The project is titled A Whittier Choice Neighborhood and is currently in phase 2 of its development process, Building a Better Boston. You might have guessed that these developments are located on Whittier Street, just a crosswalk away from a sector of Northeastern University's campus, with a view of the Boston Police Department and community buildings on surrounding streets. The site itself has been facing some noticeable neglect during its construction process, but the sound of birds was welcomed over the bustling street just steps away. In my quest to understand the affordable housing crisis in Boston, how it is going to be solved and by whom, I spoke with Executive Director Tom Callahan at the Massachusetts Affordable Housing Alliance. I was surprised to find that all 3 of the individuals mentioned were completely in sync about one thing. The levels of social equity and equality in a city are the key to both the diagnoses and cures for a city's issues. To put simply, if there is inequality in one area of the city, there will be in another. I wasn't sure exactly what to call this new, comprehensive approach taken on by Boston's local policymakers, so Councilor Bach shed some light.
I consider myself a progressive Democrat. I'm proud of both those labels. Somebody who wants to see a more equitable society. Not not afraid to say, we have a really unequal economy, and changing that involves economic justice, it involves redistribution, and it involves structural change.
Reporting for Northeastern University, I'm Delaney Murray.